Hello all and welcome to The Big Story, a daily news show where we talk about the hottest topics of today right in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Kimberly Jiao coming to you live from the Straits Times, and we are streaming on YouTube and Facebook, so do leave us a comment, like and share it with your friends, as well as hit the bell to be told whenever we are live. I'll be joined by a couple of my newsroom colleagues today to discuss what got you talking today. My first story: The Straits Times had an exclusive look at how ICA officers are trained to spot fake passports at immigration checkpoints. The latest figures show that between 2016 and last year, the Immigration Checkpoints Authority, or ICA, detected an average of 85 counterfeit and tampered passports each year, as well as close to 1,600 identity fraud cases. So with me to talk about how they do this is Zaihan.
Hi there.
Hello, welcome to the show. Could you tell us a little bit more about this phenomenon?
Why, if you look back in time, the figures show a declining trend. It's simple. It's basically passports are getting, more secure. The security features are more secure, and it's harder to replicate or forge modern passports. Yeah.
So it used to be worse.
It used to be worse, but you can see that the cases that are more common, which have been detected by ICA, would be those impersonation cases where someone tries to pretend to be someone else, and it's easily caught because there's a mismatch,
Right, you are not that person.
Yes, correct.
So how does this identification of fraudulent passports work? What are the processes?
Well, I got to spend about 4 hours last Wednesday with the IADA, the Identity Authentication and Document Analysis branch of ICA. These guys train our local officers, ICA officers, to spot for little discrepancies. These are what you call level 1, level 2, level 3 security features, where sometimes level 1 security features, you don't have to use any tools to look at, the security markings, but at level 2, maybe you need a UV light to see whether, it's glowing. Yes, this should be a legit piece of passport here, yeah? So when these discrepancies come out, get noticed, it's because they don't match, or what these officers are taught, they don't match, they don't gel, so that's why they get spotted.
Oh, so actually off camera you mentioned this white room, black room thing. Yes. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
This is very interesting. White room, black room. The white room, it indicates that ICA has this authentic room where they display the latest security features in the market, available in the market. At the same time, they also tell you what to look out for in those security features.
I see.
The black room, now this is a bit covert. It's also known as the forgery layer, where the various techniques to forge passports, and 6 of the case exhibits have been put on display. So they show a side-by-side comparison, what's fake, what's genuine. And of course, we can't photograph it because it's current and real, but some of the things that we learned that they forge with are simple, like, magic markers to make security fibers glow, or even metallic ink, and of course your pen knife. So when you cut pictures, a quick thinking officer can tell that these are cut marks that subtle, but these are the things that they look out for. But it's harder to replicate now, given that most passports are going the polycarbonate way. So the biodata pages it's hard to strip them apart.
Right. Yeah. And these tools are very readily available, but they just
commercially available, yes.
It'd be difficult to replicate nowadays, I would say, with these tools. So people pay a lot of money for these, and I guess we'll talk a little bit about that later. But they must look pretty legitimate, right? So to get an idea of how these officers sort of tell the fake from the real, we have a video. Have a look.
Signs of anomalies on this page includes this optically variable image. When you tilt this document, the Tax Republic of Singapore does not change in color. Unlike the genuine, when you tilt it, it changes in color. It changes from magenta to gold.
For the full video, do head on to www.straitstimes.com/videos. So Zaihan, besides what we just saw, how else do officers know when a passport is fake?
Well, sometimes it's the demeanor of the passport holder.
The demeanor of the
Yeah.
passport holder.
If the person is nervous, that's
Okay.
one of the indicators. Secondly, of course, he studies the features and so on. But I guess it's with the training, it's with the sharing that these IADA instructors, they go overseas on conferences where they share, they network, and what they learn, they will disseminate to the officers on the ground.
I see.
So they need to keep current on the modern technology and the new security features available, because you know they don't want it to fall into the wrong hands.
Of course.
Previously, we were talking about how when a new passport is introduced, some of the security features will be shared to ICA. A foreign passport, you know, they will be able to know that it has this security feature, and so on. Those are the visible ones. But there are others that they keep secret and will not, close to the chest, so that, you know, maybe if it falls into the wrong hands, such information will not be divulged in full, and it's still, you know, the document is still secure.
So they won't be used for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
So how then does the Singaporean officer know that these little hidden things?
Well, okay, he cannot possibly remember all maybe 200 passports, you know, worldwide, but he can remember certain details, certain security features, and the traits of those security features. Like if you tilt it, it's supposed to change in color, what they call it, the multiple laser image, or even the optically variable image, where you know, a color change would happen when you tilt it. If it doesn't, then it's off. That's a sign.
Yeah.
An alarm bell should go off. Yeah.
So it's actually like super high tech, and they're all very well trained.
Yes.
And I see we are doing good work at our borders. Thanks for sharing more with us, Zaihan.
Welcome.
So to read Zaihan's full story and for more stories related to this, do head on to www.straitstimes.com. Our second story, the world's 50 best restaurants 2019, was announced yesterday at a gala awards ceremony at Sands Theatre in Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, with French restaurant Mirazor taking the #1 spot. Here to share more with us is ST food critic Wong Ayuk. Hello.
Hi.
So you were there at the ceremony yesterday night.
Yes, that's right.
Could you tell us what it was like?
Okay, when they announced the winner, Mirazor, I mean, the reaction was really, really wild. Everybody was like cheering the chef on. It was very boisterous. And that's because, I mean, the audience was made up of mainly people in the food industry. There was a lot of chefs, the food journalists, the food bloggers, and the chefs especially, they all know one another. It's like this whole network of brotherhood or whatever. So they were all really very happy for Mirazor. And also, I mean, it wasn't a big shocker that it was #1, because last year it was #3, and the #1 and #2 last year are no longer eligible for the list this year.
Okay, so speaking of this eligibility thing, recently there was a bit of this controversial change, right? Restaurants that have previously won the #1 spot in this award will no longer be eligible for the annual ranking. Could you share more about this?
Yeah, that's right, because they made a change this year. They created a new category called Best of the Best for the previous #1 winners.
Right.
So it means that when you are #1, you are no longer eligible for the list. You just go on into this category. And it's controversial because, okay, the story is that the previous #1s actually asked for this change because they were feeling the pressure of like staying on top all the time. And also they don't want to drop out of the #1 position. So when you're #1 and then suddenly you're no longer #1, they're not very happy about that. But the official version that the organizers say is that it's their decision to come up with this category because they want to be more inclusive. They want like other restaurants to get a chance at being #1. So it's not always being hawked by the same people.
I see. What are your personal thoughts on this?
My thoughts is that, I mean, if you are the best restaurant in the world, you should be #1, right? I mean, what's this about giving everybody a chance? What does that mean? I mean, if you are like no longer in the category, does that mean you're still the best restaurant in the world? Yeah, and if you are now like given a #1 restaurant title, but there are like all these restaurants that are in this best of the best category. So how do you gauge which one is actually better than the other? I mean, you could be #1, but there could be 7 restaurants that actually might be better than you, but because they are no longer eligible, yeah, then you become number one. So like how prestigious is that, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it sort of devalues it kind of.
That's right. And also for the restaurants in the best of best category, I mean, to be honest, diners always remember who's number one. And they remember the number one this year, last year, maybe one more year. But 5 years ago, who remembers who was the number one? And after a while, I think diners just gradually forget about you.
Oh, so it's not good for the ones in the best of the best category.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it's good for anybody actually. Yeah.
Okay, well, you feel very strongly about this, and I'm sure people are in the comments down below are feeling very strongly about it too. So if you do feel very strongly about this, if you agree, if you disagree, do let us know in the comments down below. Thanks, Ayuk, for sharing your thoughts with us. So for more food-related stories, do head on to www.straitstimes.com. And those were our top stories of the day. Once again, I'm Kimberly. Thank you for watching The Big Story, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.